How much does it cost for a family to live in France for a year?
This has been one of the most surprising aspects of this adventure so far.
Spoiler, it's cheaper than you think.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Raina.
I'm Jason.
We're Baguette Bound. And today we're going to talk about what it cost us to live in France for a year. When we first started thinking about doing this, that was our first question. How much is this going to cost? And can we pull it off? So we decided to start with what the French government says it's going to cost and the amount that they will want to see in your bank account, which is 17,000 euros per person, which is roughly equivalent to the French minimum wage.
We were suspicious. That was a lot less than we were spending in the US. And
Yeah.
France was more expensive? We didn't know.
Right.
So, we've been here a year. What does it really cost us?
Yeah, that's what you're going to see in this video. Stick around to the end and you'll find out our actual number of what
Right.
we spent.
First up, housing.
Yes.
What is housing in France?
Yes.
So to rent like around a 1,500 square foot house, it varies by region like it does everywhere. So some rough estimates. So to rent a 1,500 square foot place in Paris, maybe around $3,500 a month. In Bordeaux, which is our nearest big city, one of the larger cities in France.
And beautiful. If you
Very
haven't been
beautiful.
there.
My favorite city. Bordeaux is around $2,000 or 2,000 euros a month for a 1,500 square foot place. Here locally in the countryside, around $1,000 a month for a 1,500 square foot place. Last year, we spent $1,500 a month to rent a large 4-bedroom that was all utilities and bills included at the house. So
Yep.
all of our heating and water and power were all paid for $1,500 a month.
Yeah. To give you, and this was in a pretty small, they call it a commune. So it was in a small village in the countryside. Okay, so that's housing. Healthcare. This one is, it's everything works quite differently here. And so we were really unsure what to expect because we were pretty accustomed to spending a lot of money on healthcare in the US. You will be required as part of a visa, if you're getting one, to purchase international healthcare coverage, an international healthcare policy, I guess. But it's a lot more affordable than you would expect. It was $1,100 a month for
A year.
I'm sorry, a year. See, I'm like thinking about US prices. It was for a year and it covered, sort of major things like hospitalizations, if you needed to have yourself flown back to the US for something, those kind of things. It didn't cover like medications and regular, just normal doctor's visits.
No.
So
a bit of a catastrophic coverage plan
Right,
for
right.
international,
Yeah.
for our whole family.
for our
all
whole
three of
family.
us.
Yes, exactly. And that it did not have a deductible or anything. That
Correct.
was just the total cost, $1,100 for the year.
And once we're here, it costs about $25 a doctor visit to go. The cost for medication varies depending on which medication prescriptions you're getting. As an international traveler, as a visitor, someone on a visa, you pay the same price as French people do for their medications. It's extremely cheap. I'm diabetic, so I'm accustomed to paying a lot of money in the US for my medications and prescriptions and devices. I paid roughly 10% that US price here in France, as that's just the flat rate that I would pay every month while we were on that international. Education costs.
Yes.
So our daughter is in middle school.
Right.
So what are education costs here? So for like primary education, elementary, middle, high school, the costs are quite low. You have maybe 3 basic options. You could go for an international school. So something definitely targeted at visitors, at foreigners here in France.
Right.
International schools vary widely. They might run you $15,000 or more per year. Those schools are almost entirely in English, based on some type of education plan elsewhere, either in England or the US. They try to mimic those programs. For a French private school, it's around $2,000 a year. And for a French public school, there's no cost, it's public. You do pay for food, which for us was around $200 a year.
At this public school she went to was amazing. So we felt like we were getting a steal.
It was worth it for $200 a year.
Yeah. Transportation, another of the big costs. So this is going to vary depending on where you're living, of course, because it's pretty well known that most European cities have pretty good transportation networks within the city, and it's likely you won't need a car at all. If you're in the countryside like we are, definitely need a car. You really, I suppose that it is possible if you live near one of the, like in a village or city with train, but it would be really challenging without a car. Just to give you some ideas of what things cost. So like for us, it might cost us, we live about an hour and 20 minutes outside of Bordeaux. It'll cost us around $10 to go into Bordeaux we bought the local discount card. And then, so that's about a 70-mile trip.
Yeah.
Yep. And then if you're going a little further, so say Bordeaux to Paris, that's about 2 hours. I don't know how.
Yeah, it's a 2-hour train ride.
Yeah. So those are going to be anywhere depending on like second class, first class, how far in advance you're buying it, that kind of thing. 20 to maybe $120 euros. Sorry, I still say dollars.
Yeah,
really often.
All the time.
And then if you're going maybe all the way across the country, so like say from Bordeaux to Strasbourg, which we did to go see the Christmas markets last year. Those were super cool, by the way. It was around 200 euros.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You might get it cheaper, but $90 to $200 euros to go across the country on a train.
Right. So that gives you kind of an idea. So if you're based in a city, and also usually there is, I think pretty much always, some sort of local subscription card for the local transportation system. So if you've ever been to Paris or any other European city, probably the price that you were paying per trip just buying tickets to ride the metro, it's going to be a lot cheaper than that if you're actually living there and you buy like a monthly pass. As far as car costs, I know if you're thinking about being here for months and you're thinking about a Hertz rental car daily rate for 6 months, then you know, yeah,
it's expensive.
That sounds really painful. There are other options.
Thankfully.
Yes, thankfully.
The one thing we've found here is there are some local stores, some grocery stores, and some other options that will rent cars out to kind of local citizens. I would never think to go to a grocery store for my car,
no,
but that's an option. So you can get a nice car, for $150 to $200 a month. That usually doesn't include mileage costs,
right.
So every kilometer that you drive will cost you a few nickels or dimes.
Does include car insurance, though.
It does include car insurance, yeah. So that's extremely affordable. Even with a lot of driving, you'll probably be spending less than $400 or $500 a month to rent a car. Currently, we have a subscription. It runs us about $600 to $700 a month. And again, that's all costs included with insurance and
maintenance,
mileage and maintenance. Those are new cars. They're very nice.
First one we had is the nicest car I've ever driven.
Yeah.
Hopefully we're showing you pictures of it right
It's
now.
a Citroen CX-5 plug-in hybrid. It was a pretty sweet ride.
So nice.
Yeah. A lot of strange conversations with French people.
Yes, who would stop us.
Ask us, what is this car? What is it? Tell me about it.
We didn't have enough vocabulary
It
sometimes
was hard
to
to talk about my car. I hadn't memorized those words yet. A lot of really good options. You even have more if you can drive a manual. There's a lot of manual cars on the road still here in France, which is different than the US. And those costs will come down even further if you want a manual instead of an automatic.
Just know that there are options outside of booking a car from the airport for 6 months, because that price will make you cry. Travel.
Oh, travel's a great one.
Yeah.
One of my favorites. So really one of the advantages of being here long term, you can try to travel in off season. You don't need to pay a premium to try to cram everything into a certain number of days.
Or go when everyone else is going, which is, well.
Yeah, so you can time your train trip when train tickets are cheaper. You can time your tickets to whatever the event is.
Oh, yeah, catching local festivals and fun things. Those are awesome too.
Yeah.
Because you're here. So we wanted to mention that travel is also cheaper than we expected because of the flexibility that you have with being here longer. But it's not part of our total budget, nor does the French government include it. So that brings us to food, which...
One of the best parts of being in France is the food.
One of the best parts. It was one of the parts that definitely drew us here. Yeah. We love to cook. We like to eat. We like to learn about food. We just generally. That being a big feature, how does it compare to budgeting in the U.S.? What we found, we do a mix of shopping, both at, they call it the supermarché, basically like the supermarket, and farmers markets. One of the surprising things is that in the U.S., I often felt like going to the farmers market was sort of almost like Oh gosh, not almost. It was more expensive, right? And we loved trying to like support that and shop local. And then we'd get home and we'd be like, oh my God, but we just spent like the entire budget months of groceries, right? On like, I don't know, something crazy like local hazelnut honey, which would always be amazing, but also just didn't feel very sustainable for regular shopping in the US. It's the opposite here. But if you find a market that's actually caters and serves people who live locally, oh man, the produce prices are usually much cheaper. You can find there's, a couple of butchers that we really like.
You can always do a full grocery trip
Yeah.
at the farmer's market, which wasn't always true in the U.S.
No, you can get cheese and bread and produce and meat and like everything that you need. And it's usually either the same or cheaper. And then restaurants, this is the other amazing thing. Fine dining is probably in some ways pretty similar, right? Like there's really nice Michelin-starred restaurants in the US that are expensive, and they have those here in France also. What I think is the big difference is that you can find a 3-course, really nice, affordable dining experience here for, 30 euros. That barely got you like an appetizer and to share and a margarita and a main course at Chili's, I feel like. And I just generally enjoy dining out in France, honestly, more than I did in the US. It's
you can get a real dining experience at all different price points.
there's actually a restaurant not too far from us that for 17 euros you get a like salad or first course appetizer, a choice of a couple different main courses, a cheese course, dessert, coffee, and wine for 17 euros.
Yeah, it's good. What did we actually spend this past year? What was our total budget?
Okay. I don't know if you've been keeping track as we've been moving through these, but basically this included a 4-bedroom house in the countryside, a nice car, a public school, cooking at home, shopping and dining out maybe 2 to 4 times a month probably, and an international healthcare policy that covered the 3 of us for the year. And
so the total for the 3 of us,
dun, dun, dun.
right around 45,000 euros for the year. So
Right.
France kind of was pretty close with their guess on what we should have set aside.
Yeah, figuring like 17,000 per adult and maybe like half that for a kid. Yeah, so it was spot on, and we were pretty excited about that because we were probably spending around twice that on these things when we were living in Colorado. And that was a really shocking thing, that we could have this experience that we have been dreaming of, and it turned out to cost us half what it was just living our regular American life.
Yeah, it was a surprising experience. We feel like we're leading a really high quality of life, and just spending a lot less than we had imagined we would be spending moving to Europe and doing that.
But what we wanted to get across with this video is the idea that, this year is going to pass anyway. And you're going to have to pay for housing and transportation and healthcare and education, all those things anyway. And we wanted people to know that if you want to do it in France because you want to have this experience, that I think it's within reach. If that's something, near what you're paying in the US now.
Yeah.
And we were surprised by that, right? The assumption is just like, going to live in France for a year, that must cost a lot of money.
Yeah. It doesn't have to, though.
It doesn't have to. Yeah. So thanks for watching, and if you need some help with where to start with this, or you have some questions, look us up on baguettebound.com. We offer one-on-one consultations, and we would love to talk to you about this because we are super excited to share what we've learned with people, and see others like realize the dream of doing this with your family. Till next time.
A bientôt. See you soon.
See you soon.